Hey folks, this is Fernando doing another video for Modern Survivalist, and in this video I'm going to be talking about food, the way we think about food, what we eat, and some of the things we've taken for granted as facts, which may be incorrect actually. This all came together recently in kind of like an epiphany of some sort that I had that I want to share with you folks. I told my wife not that long ago about something that I had read about how calorie restriction reverses or reduces the aging process. Just go in Wikipedia and put calorie restricted diet, and you know there's studies of rats that when they give them a lower amount of calories, they end up living almost twice as much, and tests with monkeys also showing the same thing. Basically, if you're in a calorie restricted diet, you basically live longer and healthier. It's just not, you know, it's pretty much scientifically proven. Seems that the free radicals in your cells are one of the main causes of the aging, that with a calorie restricted diet would be doing less damage. So they actually looked in microscopes the muscle tissues of monkeys. In a 17-year-old monkey with a calorie restricted diet, eating less calories than he would normally be eating if fed as before, he had the damage of a 4-year-old monkey. So he had the cellular damage, the cellular aging of a 4-year-old being a 17-year-old monkey. Basically, all these things, yeah, we're not monkeys, and I get that, but basically just eating less calories means you're going to be living longer and you're going to be healthier. And I told this to my wife, and she said, well, how long did those rats live? And I told her like between 30 and 50% longer in some cases and such. Basically, even if it's, you know, what, 10% longer that you're living, man, that's pretty. That's a significant number, especially when you take into account it's not only living longer but being healthier as well. I suppose this, if you think of it in natural terms, you know, not looking at the scientific explanation, but in nature, a human being, if it hadn't been for all the industrialized stuff we've evolved into in some way, a human caveman type of person, he would be living in a calorie restricted diet. He would be looking for, you know, plants and fruits and shrubs, and, you know, some days eating very little or not eating at all, and you know, stuff like meat would be extremely scarce. It would be mostly a plant-based diet, very restricted in calories. So that guy would be barely surviving and such. Now, if you look at how people seem to be living longer, you may be thinking, okay, that's not ideal. Cavemen died by the time they were 30, right? That pretty much is true. You were an old guy by the time you were 40, but that's not because of the diet he had. That's because he had lack of medical technology that he had today, so as to heal and prevent some common diseases. You know, that guy would catch a cold or get an infection and he would die. That's why the general life expectancy was so short. It's not because of the stuff he was eating. Yeah, even that, you know, starvation was a common cause of death as well. But the thing is that the natural thing is not to be overfed. It's rather the opposite. The natural thing, and obviously, clearly, scientifically proven, the best thing for your body is to be slightly on the hungry side. At the same time, you don't want to be in a diet where you have a lack of nutrition. So that's why they call some of these the calorie restricted optimal nutrition diet. So you're not losing on any of the vital nutrition, but you are going a little bit lower on the calories. So after talking about this with my wife, she said, okay, let's try doing this. Let's try eating maybe a little bit less and healthier and such. Yeah, it sounds good. I want to lose a little bit of weight as well. That sounded great. Let's do that for some time, see how it goes. And it actually went great. I mean, we went for eating very small portions of food, mostly vegetables and fruits, mostly plant-based stuff, and that was working great for us. I mean, I love my rice and lentils too. That's fantastic, and you feel full after eating a small portion of it. It has a complete protein, so it has good nutritional value and such. And after just 2 weeks of eating that way, we were feeling great and all. And my son asks for a cake. He asks my wife to bake a cake for him, and she of course does it. And when I see the cake there in the kitchen, I cut a slice for myself. I eat it, and immediately after eating it, I felt hungry. I mean, I felt as if I had suddenly been starving for a couple of days, and I felt immediately the need to get another slice of cake. And I remembered something that I had read about wheat, about how the wheat you have today is not the same that you had, several years ago. Today, the wheat you eat it's not a healthy plant-based food. It's a genetically engineered plant with lots of starch in it. And long story short, it basically makes you feel more hungry. The more wheat you eat, the more pastries, the more, especially when combined with sugar, which also works like a drug in your brain. So the wheat product with refined sugar, it's just makes you feel so much more hungry. So after eating that, I noticed that right away, and I just felt bad. It just didn't feel good. But I thought it was, I thought it was just a mind thing because of that stuff that I had read before about wheat being being like addictive. I thought it was kind of partial to it because of that. But I told my wife, and she said, you know what? I felt the exact same thing. I thought it was crazy, but now that you're saying it, it's obviously true. She felt the exact same thing after eating for a couple of weeks of plant-based food. Having a small slice of cake felt as if you're immediately feeling hungry. And I don't want to sound like all conspiracy theory or not or something like that, but it's hard to avoid noticing how someone benefits from that. Someone benefits from selling you corn syrup crap and donuts and this stuff that basically makes you feel more hungry and eat more. And at the same time, it's stuff that's not healthy for you. So you're basically buying from these companies, and once you look a little bit more into it, you realize that it's just a handful of big food conglomerates. It's just a handful of big food companies, and they don't make billions. I mean, they make trillions on selling you this crap that is just really not healthy for you. And then I remembered a documentary I had seen before, one that's called Forks Over Knives. Basically, it's a documentary explaining how a plant-based diet, it's pretty much the answer to avoiding, to a great degree, many of the diseases that kill the most people, such as cardiovascular problems, heart problems, strokes, even cancer. It is all very linked, all very closely related to the kind of food you eat. And in this documentary, which is pretty good, you should watch it, try looking it up and such, it explains that a plant-based diet, avoiding eating meats and avoiding dairy products, it's it's the perfect way of avoiding many of the things that make people sick. They have great explanations of how a plant-based food diet reverses in many cases the damage to your arteries. You start feeling better, you start feeling with more energy, and these are all things that I noticed just in 2 weeks of eating that way. And also about things that are common misconceptions in many ways, or things that we have taken for granted because we've been told from a very early age. I mean, I'm from Argentina. In Argentina, it's basically you eat meat. You eat meat, and that's it. You eat you eat meat, you eat cheese, and you eat milk, and that's healthy. And fruits and vegetables, but don't forget about your meat, don't forget about your milk, because you need your calcium, right? And then you start realizing that, well, maybe it's really not all that much that you need milk. And the documentary, this thing about forks over knives, it makes a great explanation as of why milk may be linked to many medical problems as well. And milk has been sold to us, drink milk, or the milk is a perfect food, or a kid needs a glass of milk every single day. Now, why is it that a kid needs a glass of milk every day? Or why is it that if you want to combat osteoporosis, you need a glass of milk as well, so as to get your calcium? Milk is produced by a cow so as to feed a baby cow, so as to feed a calf. And the milk from breast milk, human breast milk, it's not the same stuff as cow milk. It's actually very different. The kind of protein that it has, the cow milk, it's great for the baby cow. Breast milk is great for the baby human. And even breast milk, if we want to get into that ridiculous idea, breast milk is perfect for a human baby. A human baby is very different from a human adult. It poops every 5 minutes, in case you don't have a kid of your own. So breast milk is perfect for a baby. My wife breastfed our kids, and we know how great it is. But it doesn't mean that milk is this magical food that you should be eating all your life. Breast milk is what you should be eating as a baby. Then when you stop drinking that, you just go towards food. This idea that you have to keep eating something that comes out of a cow, intended for the cow's baby, it's once you think of it that way, you kind of start realizing it doesn't make that much sense. And again, in the Forks Over Knives video, it explains how, especially in the United States, the agency which is responsible for explaining what a balanced diet is the same agency that the same people that produce food. The agricultural sector agency is the same one that provides these charts of what is a healthy diet. Dairy products, milks, fruits, and vegetables. Now, these guys cannot be objective with their recommendations if it directly affects their pocket. How is it that the people that are the industry themselves of producing this stuff, how is it that they're going to be giving a balanced and objective advice? That's why you see all these things that, again, at least to me, they all kind of fell into place. And it's just about giving people food that it's addictive, so they eat more of it. It's also about giving people food that it's not really healthy, because there's also money to be made in making you sick. And it gets kind of creepy to a level, but the same lobbies and the same huge corporations that are own the companies that produce food, many of them have very strong links with pharmaceutical companies that sell you the crap to keep you alive. The medicine that you shouldn't have been needing in the first place if you had eaten a healthy diet. So they make you sick. That's a billion trillion dollar industry on its own. Then there's a billion trillion dollar industry of selling you medicine. So it kind of works very well. It balances itself very well, making you sick, selling you the crap. It is said that there's no money to be made in a healthy person. There's no money to be made in a person that is dead, but there's a ton of money to be made in a person that is sick. And I would even add to that, there's a ton of money to be made in a person that has an empty life, that is feeling miserable and has to fill that misery buying crap he doesn't even need in the first place. And it's kind of impossible to avoid realizing the vested interest in this, because there's so much money to be made. If people started changing all of this, I mean, it's eliminating 80% of the profit of the biggest corporation in the planet. So, is all this accidental? Is it all like naive stuff and no one actually saw this? Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe in that level of coincidence, especially when there's so much money to be made out of it. So, long story short, guys, is at least for us, we are. I mean, I don't have any moral issue about vegan stuff. Leather. I like leather. I don't have a problem in killing an animal and eating it. I just think right now that it's not the best thing for my health anymore. So we're definitely going to be going for a heavy, a kind of food diet that's very strongly towards leaning towards plant-based foods, definitely so. Avoiding dairy products, avoiding milk pretty much as possible even. Not saying never, every once in a while maybe, but the bulk of our food as of right now, we're thinking of making it a plant-based food, and avoiding as much as possible, especially trying to avoid as much as possible processed and refined sugars, wheat products, although that muffins, donuts, all those things that have a clear negative impact on your health, avoiding those as much as possible. Same thing for dairy products, same thing for meat, just eating very small amounts of those or as little as we can. It's I don't even think of any of this as diet. That's another thing. It used to be, at least for me, that when I got fat, I said, okay, I have to go into diet and lose weight because I'm fat. But now it's more of a, I want to eat healthier because I want to live longer and I want to live healthier. And it just cannot, it's not a diet. I simply cannot eat stuff that I know it's bad for me. So again, not gonna be anything as becoming vegan from a moral or philosophical point of view, but just eating very, very little of the things that I know at this point are simply bad for you. So that's just that's it. We've seen in just a few weeks of eating this way, we've seen like massive changes. First of all, how you actually feel. I'm feeling fantastic. I've never felt as good before. Just feeling with more energy. Mentally, I notice I think better. I can concentrate more for longer periods of time, and it's the food. It's the food we're eating, because I used to work out. We don't work out a lot, but for walks and such, and the kind of exercise I've been doing, I haven't changed that. It's the food that I've changed. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Even if you're working out a lot, if the kind of food, even if you're thin, you're fit, you're looking great, but the stuff you're eating is not good, you will have lots of negative stuff happening to you. Again, feeling very well, focusing a lot. I don't have headaches like I used to. Those things are pretty much gone. In the body, just feeling better. The skin, something we were talking about with my wife just a few moments ago. The skin feels better as well. She was telling me, it feels as if I had some cream on and she didn't have anything, but just the diet, your skin. Well, this is something I've noticed before. When you stop eating that much greasy stuff, meats and such, your skin feels less oily as well. So all very positive changes to your life. So definitely going to be implementing this from now on. I suggest that you do your own research like I did, come to your own conclusions, which is always the best thing. Rather than having someone telling you stuff on YouTube, just maybe this triggers something on you. You just do your own research and you find out stuff that you end up implementing to your life, and having a very positive impact on it. Folks, that's all for now. Just something that I wanted to share with you guys because I feel it's important, and basically just that. Remember to subscribe. Have a great day. Hope you are healthy from now on. Take care. See you in our next video.